Hey Lemfam! As you know, I want this channel to be the most actionable channel for anyone who wants to grow their businesses. So a few days ago, I published a video asking for people to share their struggle with me so I can help them directly. I've also done the exact same thing on LinkedIn, which allows me to pick the best struggles and create videos around it so the entire community can learn from it. In this video, I want to show you how you can grow a podcast while you have reached a plateau. So let's have a look at what Myrthe told us. We're 8 months into starting and growing our podcast and the movement Blot, Dutch word for naked, which is all about the power of vulnerability in day-to-day life. We believe that the world would be an even better place if we all have a bit more courage to show more of ourselves, especially in work environments. In the first months, we grew unexpectedly fast, but in the last 2 months, we hit a plateau. We are now looking for free ways to grow our reach so we can start selling some advertising time and invest money in our growth. We also thought about looking for an investor, but that feels kind of big and maybe too risky for a business like this. So, about the question regarding an investor, I think that it's obviously way too early, and getting investor for a podcast, in my opinion, doesn't make a lot of sense. The first idea to generate revenue and then invest it in the growth is the bootstrap way, so in a sense, my favorite way. So how exactly, when you reach a plateau, can grow your audience even more? In order to be able to give a step-by-step action plan, I needed to get more info. So I asked 2 things, the link to the podcast and also the audience. And basically the audience was ambitious millennials between 25 and 35 years old in the Netherlands. After checking the podcast, I've looked at 2 different things. One was the amount of reviews. The great thing is they have only 5 stars reviews, which kind of like build trust and credibility. The drawback is they only have 8 reviews. The more reviews you get on your podcast, the more the algorithm, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever, will push your podcast. So the first advice I would give is try to get as many reviews as possible. Reach out to your friends who can benefit from the podcast, reach out to your family who is listening to it, etc., and ask them really like one-on-one to leave a review. And an honest one. The more reviews we'll get, even if it's not 5 stars and 4 or 3 stars, gives a good sense for people who are discovering podcast about what it is about and what they should expect from it. Whenever you're encountering a plateau, it means that you have saturated your existing audience. So technically, if you want to break this plateau and start growing even more, you need to figure out a way to reach new audiences. Something I will also improve when it comes to the podcast is the regularity of it. As you can see here, sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's after 5 days, and sometimes it's after 2 months. So whenever you're recording a podcast, if you want to grow your audience, you need for people to build a habit in listening to what you're saying. And to build a habit, the best way is to always publish your podcast at the same time on the same day. So for example, it could be Wednesday at 11 a.m. So every Wednesday there would be a podcast. So people are basically every single week looking forward to listening to what you have to say. With so many competitors and so many other podcasts out there, if you kind of break this habit, then people would have switched their attention to someone else and then you're done. So the second tips that I have after getting more reviews, it's obviously to keep a publishing schedule that is weekly. Technically, if you keep publishing every single week and you get more reviews, you will start seeing more and more growth as you go, because the algorithm of every platform will kind of like push you because they know that people are finding value in listening to your podcast. But that's not it. How exactly can you find new audiences? Because you are doing a podcast, my advice would be for you to be invited into other podcasts. Go talk about what you're doing, go talk about what you're passionate about, but only select podcasts who are targeting a similar audience as you are. On top of it, being invited onto other podcasts is also extremely relevant because you are targeting people who are listening to podcasts, which is exactly what you want for your new audience. So go piggybacking on others' audience by being invited into other podcasts. So the way I would do it is simply start selecting a list of maybe 50 podcasts, reach out to them and explain why you would love to participate and be on the show with them. The third thing that you should also do is invite guests into your podcast. Make it a bit more interactive. Invite people who have a specific knowledge from whom your audience could benefit from. And ideally, try to pick people with a large audience. As you can see, I've interviewed hundreds of people, and every time they came on the show or on my podcast, they were sharing afterwards the episode. It's a great way to start sharing audience, and it's a win-win situation. They benefit from your audience and you will benefit from theirs. course, in the end, your podcast will start growing because it will tap into new audiences. And finally, the last thing that you should do is build a website. With a website, you're gonna build even more trust and you're gonna be able to reach out to sponsors and other people to have them join on your podcast, and it will be much easier for you to negotiate afterwards for sponsorship and start getting money for your content. I really hope it was helpful for anyone creating a podcast out there, and especially for you, Myrthe. If you're facing a struggle and you want me to record a video about it, simply leave a comment below explaining exactly what you're facing and I'd be happy to help out. Have a great day! Love you!